Hey, what's going on, guys? It's JP here, and today I want to do a little video on my two vintage Omegas. They are both constellations. Actually, the one to the left, this one, Manhattan, is mine. This one used to be mine, but I gifted it to my wife because she fell in love with it. So she actually wears this one now. They are both 18 karat gold, I believe, and stainless steel. I'm not 100% sure if it's 18 karat gold or 14 karat gold, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, there are beautiful timepieces. I wanted to show you all the way it looks, a little bit about the watch, how I got it, where I got it, and the pros and cons of owning vintage watches or anything retro. I think vintage is over, I want to say 40 years, and retro is like before that. I'm not sure. But anyways, as you can see, these are both stunning watches. They have their own character. They're both constellation, different years. This one is a 1972, and this one is a 1982. So they're separated by about 10 years difference. I'm not sure about the actual sizes. I think this one's like a 30, I want to say it's like a 32. This one's like a 38 millimeter. Surprisingly, the smaller one wears very nice on the wrist. This one caught my attention because of the bracelet more than anything, and the sapphire crystal. This is actually not ceramic or aluminum. It's actually a crystal. It's got the black bezel, black dial, and a little gold little brackets that actually hold this in place. Well, this one, it's your I'm not sure what you call this case style. I think it's called like a TV case. Back in the day, it's very mid-century modern. As you can see, you know, it really fits with the mid-century modern vibes of that time. I'm gonna try to do my best not to move my watch a lot. I appreciate your guys' comments on my last videos, and one of the bad reviews I got was that I moved the watches too much, and I apologize. I'm doing my best to get better at this. But as you can see, this is in very good condition for being that old. I mean, it's got to be what, almost 50, more than 50 years old. This one's a date. As you can see, the movement is super fluent. It moves beautifully for a watch this old. I just got this watch service, by the way, at Consignments Classics with Paul, and I'll go back to that in a little bit. But as you can see, it's got a beautiful dial with the Omega nameplate on it. It's not painted or it's actually a nameplate. It's got the little, I'm not sure what you call these, the little, the little lines, set of numbers with a seconds in between. Let me turn it sideways a little bit. It was very thin on the wrist. Although I do want to say that the only thing I don't like from these watches is the clasp. I feel like the clasp kind of was a little bit too low quality for the beautiful watch overall, and the beautiful bracelet, especially having precious metals on the bracelet. I feel like Omega could have done a better job on the clasp. But that being said, a lot of watches back then, including the Rolexes, did not have the best clasps. So having nice clasps really came about on watches probably from like I want to say 2010 and up. But overall, it's a beautiful timepiece. It's in very well condition. I don't think it's been polished, but I could be wrong. It looks like it's non-polished. It's got little dings in here and there, little scratches. But it wears very beautifully on the wrist. And I'll go ahead and put it on my wrist in just a little bit. And then we have the Omega Constellation Manhattan. This one is an actual quartz movement, but it's chronometer certified. And this one has a date window and Roman numerals. You can see the movement, quartz movement clearly. But this watch has a very unique style, and it's a very beautiful design. It's very slick, very thin. It wears like a beautiful, elegant dress watch more than anything, the bracelet really caught my attention. It is beautiful. This one's obviously non-polished, which is good. Let's put them side by side again. So here it is, the Manhattan on my wrist, on my 6.5-inch wrist. And as you can see, I like to combine it with my bracelet. My bracelet is actually 14 karat gold and titanium, not titanium, platinum, sorry. But as you can see, it's dual tone, so it kind of goes very well with the stainless steel and gold watch. This watch was designed by a 27-year-old jeweler that Omega hired at that time to design this timepiece. And you can totally tell by the way it looks. If this is your style of watches, if you like slick watches, if you like watches that were very, very thin, if you're not a quartz hater, if you actually understand quartz, like I have in the past couple of years, you will actually come to appreciate the watch for what they are. You really can get a watch this thin on the automatic movement as you pay thousands and thousands of dollars. Here's a side view of the bracelet. I mean, look at it. You can't tell me that this watch is not beautiful. The bracelet alone makes it worth it, especially being that is 42 years old or so, 43 years old. It gives it a very nice 80s vintage vibes, hence the Manhattan, right? I did my research on it and I could not find one that is black. And I found a picture of a magazine of a famous actor, which I forgot his name. I should have looked it up before I made the video, but you can Google it, you'll find it. And it looks like this is some kind of launch edition or special edition, because all the ones that I found all have different colors. They're either gold or stainless steel only, or they have like gold dials. This is the only one that I've seen that is actually black with gold. But it was very beautiful. Let me go from far away. So if you like thin watches, this is a beautiful watch to get. And now let me go ahead and put on the other one. All right, guys, so here is the Constellation, the 1972. It's fitting very tight because, like I said, my wife took it from me. So it fits a little loose on her, but it fits real tight on me. But here it is on my wrist. Again, combined with my bracelet, it looks very, very nice. Or you don't need a bracelet in reality. I just do it because of the way it looks. But it does give you the 1970s vibe, right? That mid-century modern, mid-century style from back in the days. I wasn't born back then, so I couldn't tell you, but I've seen movies. If any of you are from that era, let me know what you think. I just love the two-tone stainless steel and gold. I mean, it is a beautiful bracelet. Very well made, very good quality, again, except for the clasp. And the watch is just in extremely well condition for the year. And again, the movement is just beautiful. I mean, it's like it was just made in 2024. I mean, it's beautiful. And this watch really looks more expensive than what it really is, right? So this one I believe I paid for this one $1,800 from my vintage place at Consignment's Classic with Paul. And then this one, I paid $1,300 for this one. So 13 and like I said, 17 or 1,800 bucks, I can't remember. So if you want to, get into a well-known very well-rounded brand that, you know, it can stir a conversation or start a conversation if you go to a restaurant or wherever you go. Vintage watches are definitely the way to go. Vintage watches can give you that look, that prestige feel, the feeling of wearing a high-end piece without really spending all that much money. You know, you can buy this watch for what you pay for a Longines or like an automatic, even a little higher end Tissot or Hamilton. You can get yourself a nice vintage Omega. Or maybe two, right? So those are some of the pros, right? You can get a beautiful timepiece or two that are very unique, very stylish, very beautiful, very in today's trend, right? As we all know, vintage is doing a comeback. People love vintage clothing, vintage everything from appliances, mid-century modern appliances. You know, obviously the 70s, the 60s, and now the 80s and 90s are doing a huge comeback. So if you like this style of watches, these are definitely something you can look at. Now, the only thing, I guess, is to be we'll fall in the category of cons. What are the cons? The only thing about vintage watches you got to be aware of is the condition of them. You know, you can you'll be surprised in what condition you can get vintage watches. A lot of people think that because the watch is 40, 50 years old, that it's okay to be all beat up. And I think this mainly happens because we see a lot of pictures or videos of like a 1960s or 50s Submariner, right? Or a GMT Master. You see them all beat up, and those watches are like $40,000, $50,000 depending on the model. So we think that Omega watches, for example, will be the same thing. That you find an old Omega Constellation or Seamaster, that they're going to be just like the Rolex Submariner. They're going to be in the thousands, but in reality, it's not the case. You can get a Rolex Submariner that is real beat up and it's still going to worth $25,000, $30,000 from that time, but it's not the same with Omega. I know that today, especially Omega fanboys, and I don't mean it in a bad way, I love Omega. It's just a joke that we say, right? You know, Omega fanboys hate Rolex fanboys, or they don't like each other, and they'll swear by, you know, their Seamaster or their Speedy versus Daytona or a Submariner. But when it comes to vintage watches, they're in a whole different category. You can get a very good deal in Omega watches. You cannot get a good deal in any Rolex. You know, it's a whole different ball game. So that kind of makes you think, right? In the future of buying an Omega now and a Rolex, is history going to repeat itself? You know, if you buy a Submariner now, if you manage to be lucky and buy it at regular retail price or MSRP at an authorized dealer, you're gonna spend $10,000 for a Submariner, and now Omega raised their prices to about the same, right? So which one's gonna hold their value 30, 40 years from now? So, you know, if you do the math, it's probably gonna be the same thing. So my advice is to shop around. If you're gonna buy it online, make sure that you ask questions like, when was the service? Are there any parts available? Where can you get a service? And make sure that you look for the watch at the best condition possible. Like I said, some are very beat up and they're asking for a lot of prices. And another thing that I noticed, since these Omega or vintage watches don't really have a lot of comps, people just put the prices for what they want to put the prices. So you can find comps on eBay, for example, or on Chron24. They tend to go off of that, but you got to watch out, because if you don't know about watches as much, you might think, oh, you know, this was for $4,000, and you think it's a good deal, but it's not. You can get it for $1,500 or $2,000. So that's one of the things that I got to caution you guys about. Make sure that you guys do your research. Make sure you guys really shop around before you pull the trigger. Now, the only reason I bought these is because I bought them at Consignments Classics with Paul. And I bought them because Paul actually services these watches. He actually just got this one service, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But Paul has a lot of spare parts. He has a huge collection of spare parts. He'll tell you if he sells you a watch, you know, hey, if this happens, that happens. I have parts for that watch, or I don't have parts for that watch, and be very careful. So it is very important if you buy a vintage watch to make sure that you can get parts available, otherwise you're screwed. For example, when I give this to my wife, You know, even though this one's supposed to be supposed to be a little bit water resistance from this time, they're old watches. The seals are probably old. She literally just was washing the dishes, and she got water inside the actual movement. At first, it got a little bit foggy, but it went away, and everything was fine. We thought that it was, you know, just a one-off. So then she never really washed her hands. And then again, without her knowing, she doesn't remember, she got water again. So then it got real foggy, except this time the watch stopped working. So I took it over to Paul. Paul luckily had parts for this watch, and he got it serviced. He charges $400 for the full service. He even replaced the crown because the other one was a little bit worn to you know, a factory Omega one. So he replaced the crown that was worn, and he did a full service, the seals, everything, clean the movement, the whole enchilada for like $400, man. He had it done in about 3 weeks. Again, this guy is amazing. Paul at Consignments Classics in San Diego, California. So I have a local watchmaker. I have a local watchmaker that specializes in vintage watches. So for that reason, I feel very comfortable buying vintage watches and add them to my collection. But if you're gonna buy one from eBay or Chrono24, you have to find out there's somebody that you can take them locally to get them serviced. Because you don't want to buy them from a random person on eBay and you don't know who it is and how you're gonna get a service. So do your homework, find out which watches have parts available and which don't. So this one, you know, they have everything available for it. But the way I saw this one, since it's like for me, like an actual bracelet, like a piece of jewelry, if this one eventually stops working in the future, I'll wear it as a decorative piece, you know, like a bracelet. But luckily it works perfect. It works like new, and there are parts available. Same with this automatic movement Constellation. It works beautiful, it moves beautiful. So I can't complain. Again, these watches will only go up in pricing, I mean, because everything vintage eventually is gonna go up in price. So eventually these are gonna worth a lot more money. So as an investment part of it, if you wanna see it that way, it is a pretty decent investment because you didn't drop all that money and you have a timepiece that has withstood the time, all right? So has withstood all kinds of people, all kinds of risks. Who knows what the story is? You know, that's why I wonder who got this watch, how they bought it, how they end up in a consignment store. Same with this one. So there you have it, folks. You know, the pros, great value, great piece to wear. It looks more expensive than what it really is. It really catches people's eyes and attentions. You know, it starts conversations. It looks beautiful. You want to dress it up, dress it down. It's a great watch to be, you know, for the times and with all this vintage trend that's going on, without breaking the bank. And again, the cons, well, you know, make sure that, you know, you can get a repair, that you can get it fixed. You can't wear it as like if it was new, even though it works like new. In other words, you don't wash your hands with it. You're gonna have to remove it when you wash your dishes, or or whatever you do. You're cooking, there's water when you wash your hands. Make sure that you take it off. So you're gonna have to be very careful. You go to a restaurant and you're gonna wash your hands, right? Make sure you put it in your pocket, don't lose it. If you go to the gym, take it off. You know, you can't bang it that much. So it's just very, very, it's very sensitive, I guess you wanna say, very delicate. Those are the cons, but in reality, I think the pros outweigh the cons. I highly recommend to anybody to own some vintage watches. Me, myself, in my collection, I don't have anything current, anything new for Omega, because even though I like Omega, I've been buying other watches that I like a little bit more. That being said, I am looking at the Omega Apollo 8 black ceramic. Been looking at the watch for a while, and just a speedy. I want to get in my collection, but that's probably going to be after maybe I get a Grand Seiko or obviously my next Rolex, right? If I get, I plan on buying another Rolex in under a year. So we'll see where that goes. But that being said, I just want to do a little review, show you guys my thoughts, pros and cons, and just show you guys a little closer review of my vintage watches, well, my watch and my wife's watch. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, please subscribe, like, comment. This is my 3rd week in my watch channel, and you guys have shown a lot of support. Like I mentioned before, I just filming this with my iPhone. I don't really edit anything. This is just me talking with my flaws or insecurities, you name it, right? You know, I'm just here to make some videos because I love watches. I love people that take the time to actually watch them. You know, when you guys are at work during your break or before you go to sleep, or if you were just looking, you know, to get somebody's perspective on thoughts on vintage watches. Or here you go. Thanks for watching, folks. You guys have a wonderful Saturday, and God bless. See you soon.